So the two things you want in your acting or in any art really are emotional specificity and emotional availability. And the reason why psychological coaching or therapy or any endeavor in which you learn more about yourself psychologically and emotionally help is because any psychological endeavor helps with both emotional specificity and emotional availability. First, it makes sense that the more you know yourself, the more you know what makes you sad or makes you angry or makes you happy, the more you know how you relate to people, how you are in relationship, when you trust and when you don't trust, the more you know those things about yourself, the better able you are to translate very specifically behaviors, emotional and psychological behaviors in your acting, or to elicit a very specific emotional or psychological response through your visual art or your writing or whatever. So it's pretty easy to see how these kind of psychological endeavors will help you with emotional specificity. Now, the way that therapy or psychological coaching or any kind of psychological endeavor helps with emotional availability is by unblocking you from access to this deep wellspring of human emotional understanding, which we all have access to. But are often blocked from because of our own neuroses or trauma or fear or anxieties that we've developed through our lifetime. Now, when I say this deep wellspring of human emotional understanding, what I'm talking about is our guts, right? People say act from your gut. This is our instinctual understanding of what it is like to be a human being. Human beings have been alive for tens of thousands of years, and we all have in our cellular makeup an understanding of what it is like to be a human being, what it is like to experience all of the things that humans experience, the greatest joys, the deepest betrayals, the most compelling sadnesses, fear, anxiety, love. Now there is an idea, a very popular idea, that in order to be a good artist or a compelling artist, you kind of have to come from this tortured soul place. Tortured artist, tortured soul idea, that you need to take with you and keep with you all of the pain and upset, frustration, betrayal, and also all of the great joyous emotions that you've had. You need to keep all of your emotional experience and your traumas and your joys kind of locked up in this emotional vault in your soul that you can use in your art. And now what happens when people do this is they have this big ball of emotion then carrying around with them. And as humans, we learn to defend our big emotional tortured soul with the typical Freudian defenses that you've heard about, so that we aren't wearing our crazy on our sleeve, as we're going out and buying groceries or going about our daily lives. And so we have this big emotional glob defended by all these very heavy defenses. And the idea is that then when you do your art, you'll rip off the defenses and all of your crazy comes flying out, and then you have this really emotionally compelling performance, or you're able to make this really emotionally compelling piece of art. The only problem with this idea, first of all, it can work. We've seen people work from this paradigm, and we've seen some good art from this tortured soul place. But there are a couple of problems here. First, ripping off the defenses almost always involves ingesting heavy amounts of alcohol or illicit drugs, or participating in some other really self-destructive behavior. Second of all, the performance that comes from this kind of activity is not usually specific. It's very emotionally wrought, but it's not usually specific, it's not consistent. And people who work from this paradigm almost always have really bad qualities of life and die really young. So your performance, you aren't able to perform for very long. This tortured soul piece actually blocks you from accessing your gut. And so what therapy does, or psychological coaching does, is helps you to look at that tortured soul piece, integrate it into your being so that you can access energetically your gut, as well as still access your heart and soul. There's a myth that if you go to therapy and you look at your tortured soul and learn how to integrate it, peel back the defenses in a safe, easy way, and look at what's in there, that all of a sudden you're not going to have anything to work with as an artist. And that's really not true. In fact, the opposite is true. When you work with your tortured soul and you learn to integrate all of those pieces into your whole being, you don't lose what has happened to you. You don't lose the experiences you've experienced in your life, but you are better able to look at them without fear or anxiety and then to use them in your art. So when you clear up this tortured soul mess, put things in their proper places, integrate them into your whole being, you are then able to energetically access your gut, the deep wellspring of human emotional understanding, as well as use your heart and your soul and all of your lifetime experiences to create the most compelling performance or the most compelling piece of art you can.